Good morning, Tiffy and Bethy. I'm really sorry. I'm going to try to do this as fast as I can because last time I already did this before and I just kept rambling on because I was just so filled with rage that this went on for like 12 minutes. I'm really sorry. I'm sorry that this isn't a nicer video, but I worked this past weekend and I've just been pooped and I have a lot of chores that I need to start and I'm a little behind because it's almost noon. Anyway, the book for my second week of my August challenge was A Child Called It by Dave Pelzer. This is an account of survival of child abuse. I've heard of it before, and I always wondered what's the story, what goes on. I didn't know what it was about before, and every time this will happen. Like every time when you ask somebody what is A Child Called It about, they clutch their face and just drag down like they're modeling for Edvard Munch's Scream painting, and they just go, "Oh, it's so sad," and they always advise you to bring a box of tissues, like you're going somewhere really sad and you need a box of tissues or you won't survive. And everything they say about this book is absolutely true. I wasn't even 2 or 3 pages in to the book and I was already starting to cry. So it was just I just can't even. I am really surprised that this guy is alive, to be honest. Some of the things that he went through is absolutely horrific. I could never imagine that happening. Focus. Can never imagine that happening to anybody ever, and it's just so sad. And the mother, this child's mother, Joan Crawford and Casey Anthony got nothing on this bitch. I swear to God, she's insane. I can't even figure how she would justify doing that to a child, good or bad. I mean, even if she were to plead insanity, I don't understand how that would work out because her 4 other sons she never harmed, ever. But this one she treated like a fucking slave. I can't. When I think about it, I just know if I ever saw her on the street, I would want to just stab her in the face repeatedly. I just can't. It's hard. Okay, anyway, I'm sorry. I'm already rambling on already, and I promised I'd try to keep this short. Okay, so he starts out in the first chapter framing his story with the happy ending starting first. So, on that fateful day of March 5th, 1973, he's called to the nurse's office, which is routine at this point. He's in 5th grade now, because ever since he's been going to school, he's been going to the nurse because of this one school teacher who noticed that he was a little bit timid and he made up a lot of excuses about the bruises that were on his body. Well, eventually, this teacher, whom he really liked very much, and this nurse told the principal, and eventually, after a while, he was considered a problem child. But after a while, they eventually told the police, and Dave was so upset because he didn't want anybody calling mother, because he knew that if somebody from the school called his mother, then that would lead in a beating or one of her sick games when he got home. Thankfully, the policeman took him focus, took him to like the city border or city limits. He was in California, and handed him over to the state or a juvenile center or somebody. He never had to deal with his mother ever again. He was free from her insane clutches. So that was the first chapter, is pretty much his salvation and the happy ending of the book, but beginning for his life and starting to be like an inspirational speaker and fighter for child abuse. And then he continues on talking about how his family life was so perfect in the beginning. Like his mother was kind and sweet to him, and his father was always one of those hey, put it there, tiger, you know, kind of, it seemed like the perfect kind of family. And then suddenly one day it just all went downhill. Like his parents started getting drunk a lot. And at one point his mother would just kind of beat him around all the time. And I to keep things short, I guess I'm just going to ramble off a list of things that happened. She would starve him for days at a time. He usually only got scraps if he was good enough to finish the chores in a certain time limit. He usually went for a 3-day stretch without food, and at one point he went for 10 whole days without any kind of food ever. So most of the time when he was younger, he figured out ways to steal food. So he would steal food from the kids' lunches at school, where he suddenly became an outcast, and he was pretty much an outcast in school up until the 5th grade. And what else? Oh, jeez. I'm sorry. I have a lot on my mind right now. What else did he... Okay, yeah. He would go to the stores sometime and try to steal food. He would steal food out of the garbage, and his mother would find out, and she would intentionally spoil the food and throw it in the garbage so that he would get sick from it. She burned his arm on the stove. She tried to make him lie down on top of the stove while it was on. She would beat him continuously. When she had a new child, aside from the pain of having the child being brainwashed into hating him immediately, she also tried to make him eat the shit out of his diaper. Oh God, what else did she do? It's so horrible. Yeah, I'm doing it. It's horrible. She would, damn it, I can't do this under this kind of pressure. I'm sorry, I'm terrible without editing. She made him sleep on an old army cot in the garage. She would submerge him in cold bath water with his head under the water, so only that his nose would stick out. She gave him a spoonful of ammonia to drink. She would, oh God. She accidentally stabbed him in the side with a knife, and she dressed his wound all right, but it became infected. She never took him to the hospital. And this whole time, he's dreaming of being Superman and flying away, and his father was supposed to be his hero, and his father did nothing. He pretty much just said, "She stabbed you? Well, you better go do the dishes, because if she catches you talking to me..." You know, he never did anything, and it was completely heartbreaking that he would allow that kind of abuse to happen. At one point, she gave him a false hope of thinking, okay, we're going to start over, and for 2 whole days he enjoyed mountains of food, watching TV, playing with his brothers, which he never got to do. And then when a person, child services person came in and asked Dave if he was happy where he was, he suddenly realized, holy crap, she was doing this to butter me up for child services. And immediately after she left, she started beating him again. She would lock him in the bathroom with a bucket of ammonia and bleach, and oftentimes for hours afterwards he would be coughing up blood. And anyway, towards the end of the book, his father finally left his mother with a suitcase of all of they dropped his stuff off at a hotel, and his mother turned around and was like, "You're all mine. There's nobody that can save you now." And all he did was, he prayed, "Deliver me from evil." And it was shortly after that when he was finally saved in March. So, it really, I wish I could, it's so horrible. It's a good story. I mean, it's terrible what happened to this kid, but it's a good story because you become aware of what happened to him, and you have all the more respect for this author because he survived all of this and he doesn't have any hate towards any of them now. He uses that. He uses what happened to him to help other people, which is fantastic. So, it was a very good book. I don't know if I'll read it again because I don't think my emotions can take that. I'm sorry this is still running really long. Why do I do this? I can't do editing. I'm sorry. I don't really have any more time. So this week I'm going to start reading Princess and the Goblin. There's going to be a link, maybe, below to a video from the cartoon movie that I used to watch when I was little. And, yeah. I'll see you later. I'm sorry. I'll tell you more what's going on when I actually have time. See you, bye.